Number 193 in the Masters of Cinema series is Birdman of Alcatraz. Now, this 1962 movie, directed by John Frankenheimer and starring Burt Lancaster, is one of those movies that I kept meaning to pick up. I had seen it a long time ago and I knew it was a good movie, but every time I filled up my basket or put more movies in it, this was always the one that got cut short for some reason. And putting it on to rewatch it again, I was just utterly captivated, marvelled by this wonderful movie, this terrific tale, wonderful performance that anchors it. It's just a terrific film. Now, it's about a criminal, Robert Stroud, who ends up in prison for murder, ends up killing a guard in there, and is sentenced to life in solitary confinement. And there, being alone, he kind of finds a bird one day, taking it into his cell, nursing it back to health, or teaching it how to fly, and ultimately starts to gather more birds. He breaks down the system a little bit, so pets are allowed into prison, and as other prisoners get birds, then discard them, he starts to create an aviary within his cell, something that really kind of helps rejuvenate this man, that gives him a kind of purpose, that gives him a drive that he didn't have before, something to get lost in as he wastes away within these four walls, this confined of this prison.
Sealed off from the world, denied the fundamental drive of man to beget his own kind, Stroud developed a world in microcosm with his birds.
And for the bulk of the movie, even though it's called Birdman of Alcatraz, he spends the majority of his time in Leavenworth, and that's where he creates this bird sanctuary and becomes highly knowledgeable on diseases of birds, looking to cure them as things happen throughout it. With Burt Lancaster at the start of this movie, you get a fired up character, one who you feel the system will try to wear down.
First day I came here, you as much as asked me to get down on my knees and whip her. I wouldn't do it then, I won't do it now. I won't lick your hand, and that's what eats you, ain't it, Keeper?
Someone that's rather vehemently standing up and refuses to be bent, refuses to kneel in front of the system that he's placed under. And it's only when that he is in solitary, that he is given something that means more to him than his own life, that he starts to focus on something that really kind of drives him. And when I kind of looked at this movie again, it feels a lot like part of the Shawshank Redemption, the sort of sub-story of Andy and his quest for the library is kind of paralleled here, only decades before, as you see Burt Lancaster start to work the system, trying to write a book on the subject of bird diseases, trying to focus on them. And you see the change in the man. Throughout the decades that we spend with him, you get to see him kind of grow old.
Fly, my avian friend. I give you the illusion of freedom.
Shake off the shackles that prisoners put on him and give his life a kind of purpose. Something that helps rehabilitate him within the confines of the movie. Of course, there's wonderful character actors as well in this. You've got Thelma Ritter as his mother, who's always amazing. You've got Telly Savalas, who appears early on with a little bit of hair, which is just slightly unnerving. And he's a kind of character that's there for a while, disappears to come back into the movie near the end. You get Carol Maiden as well. Lots of great actors that just kind of add to this. And one of the key things that I loved this time around was the slow building relationship between the guard that watches him and Stroud, who kind of form a close friendship throughout this movie. And when it comes to the point where he's being transferred to Alcatraz, you can see the kind of heartbreak between these two men because they're going to be separated, even though one is incarcerated and one has a job there. They've both been forced to be together for a number of years. It's become habit, it's become familiar, and they're comfortable with one another.
So long, friend.
I loved The Birdman of Alcatraz. It was one of those movies that just drew me in from the very start, and although not a great deal happens plot-wise, there's a great story here of a character whom, as reality has it, may not have been as sort of life-affirming as he is here, may not have been as influential to the world as he's portrayed here, but then that's filmmaking for you. You know, you take the best parts and you try to create a wonderful story, and that's what we have here. A terrific story anchored by an absolute powerhouse of a performance by Lancaster, who, like I said, is just terrific. A man whose life has been wasted away in prison, but he didn't waste it. He chose to do something that's kind of stood the test of time and helped a lot of people along the way.
Because you rob prisoners of the most important thing in their lives, their individuality.
Birdman of Alcatraz, absolute fantastic movie. One that I would thoroughly recommend for just about anybody to sit down and watch. I think it's captivating. I think it hooks you from the opening shot, and you go on this journey with this character, and it's absolutely terrific. I can't think of enough superlatives to label onto this movie. It was absolutely amazing and thoroughly recommended. As always, I would love to know your thoughts on the film, so let me know in the comment box below what you think of it. There is more content up here if you want to see more of my stuff. If you click that like button, then it'll stop me from being locked away in Alcatraz, which would be terrible, and bad things would happen to me. And you can also join me on the Patreon program or the membership program if you want to support me further. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time on Man v Film.